World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, raged from 1939 to 1945, engulfing the globe in a maelstrom of unprecedented destruction and loss. It was a truly global war, with fighting taking place across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Millions perished, entire cities lay in ruins, and the world was forever changed by the horrors unleashed. The seeds of this catastrophic conflict were sown in the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to ensure lasting peace, instead bred resentment and instability. Germany, burdened by crippling reparations and territorial losses, seethed with anger and a desire for revenge. The global economic depression further exacerbated tensions, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. Against this backdrop of simmering discontent, totalitarian regimes rose to power in Germany, Italy, and Japan. Adolf Hitler, fueled by his twisted ideology of Aryan supremacy, promised to restore Germany to its former glory. Benito Mussolini, the fascist dictator of Italy, sought to revive the Roman Empire, and Imperial Japan, driven by militaristic ambitions, sought to establish dominance in Asia. Together, these nations formed the Axis powers, united in their thirst for territorial expansion and their disdain for the existing world order. Their aggression would plunge the world into darkness, setting in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of human history. As the shadow of war loomed, a coalition of nations rose to oppose the Axis threat. The Allied powers, led by Great Britain, the United States, the Soviet Union, and China, represented a diverse array of ideologies and interests. Yet they were united in their determination to resist aggression and defend freedom. Great Britain, under the resolute leadership of Winston Churchill, stood defiant against Nazi Germany's early onslaught. The Soviet Union, led by the ruthless Joseph Stalin, would eventually join the fight against Germany after being invaded, and the United States, initially hesitant to intervene in another European conflict, was jolted into action by the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The clash between these two opposing forces would become a battle for the very soul of humanity. On one side stood the Axis, driven by hatred, intolerance, and a lust for power. On the other stood the Allies, fighting for freedom, democracy, and a world free from tyranny. The world watched in horror as the Nazi war machine, fueled by Hitler's insatiable ambition, rolled across the Polish border on September 1st, 1939. This act of unprovoked aggression marked the beginning of World War II. Poland, caught between Germany and the Soviet Union, stood little chance against the overwhelming might of the Wehrmacht, the German army. Hitler's blitzkrieg, or lightning war tactics, utilizing tanks, aircraft, and coordinated infantry assaults, proved devastatingly effective. Polish forces, outmatched and outmaneuvered, fought bravely but were ultimately overwhelmed. Within weeks, Poland was crushed, divided between Germany and the Soviet Union as agreed in a secret pact. The invasion of Poland shattered the fragile peace that had prevailed since World War I. Great Britain and France, honoring their treaty obligations to Poland, declared war on Germany on September 3, 1939. However, their initial response was hesitant, characterized by a period of relative inactivity known as the Phony War. The invasion of Poland marked the beginning of a long and bloody conflict, one that would test the limits of human endurance and reshape the geopolitical landscape of the world. Following the swift conquest of Poland, Hitler turned his attention westward, aiming to crush France and neutralize Great Britain. In the spring of 1940, German forces unleashed a blitzkrieg across Western Europe, overrunning Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and finally France. The speed and ferocity of the German advance shocked the world, leaving Great Britain standing alone against the Nazi war machine. Undeterred, Britain prepared for a German invasion, rallying behind the defiant leadership of Winston Churchill. The fate of Britain, and indeed the free world, hinged on the outcome of the Battle of Britain, an epic air campaign waged in the skies above England in the summer and fall of 1940. The Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, commanded by Hermann Göring, launched relentless attacks against British airfields, radar stations and cities, aiming to cripple Britain's defences and pave the way for a seaborne invasion. However, the Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought back with unwavering courage and determination. The Battle of Britain was a turning point in the war. The RAF's victory, due in no small part to the bravery of its pilots and the effectiveness of its radar system, thwarted Hitler's plans for an invasion of Britain. It was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the British people and their refusal to surrender in the face of overwhelming odds. Section 5. A Day of Infamy, Pearl Harbor. While the war raged in Europe, events in the Pacific were about to draw the United States into the global conflict. Japan, under the militaristic rule of Emperor Hirohito, had been expanding its empire in Asia, clashing with Chinese forces and eyeing further conquests in Southeast Asia. On December 7, 1941, Japanese carrier-based aircraft launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, the main U.S. naval base in the Pacific located in Hawaii. The attack, a calculated gamble intended to cripple the U.S. Pacific Fleet and deter American intervention in the Pacific War, achieved complete tactical surprise. American battleships were sunk or damaged, aircraft were destroyed on the ground, and over 2,400 American servicemen and civilians were killed. The attack on Pearl Harbor, a date which will live in infamy in the words of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, galvanized American public opinion and propelled the United States into World War II. The following day, December 8, 1941, the United States declared war on Japan. Germany and Italy, honoring their alliance with Japan, declared war on the United States on December 11, 1941. The global conflict had now escalated into a truly worldwide war, with the United States fully engaged in both the European and Pacific theaters. Section 6. Turning the tide, D-Day and the liberation of Europe. By 1944, the tide of war had begun to turn against the Axis powers. Soviet forces, after enduring unimaginable losses, had halted the German advance in the east and were pushing westward. In the Pacific, American forces were gaining the upper hand in a series of hard-fought naval battles and island-hopping campaigns. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces, under the supreme command of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history. Codenamed D-Day, the invasion of Normandy, France, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. Over 150,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, facing fierce resistance from entrenched German defenders. Despite heavy casualties, the Allies established a foothold on French soil, and the liberation of Western Europe had begun. After months of brutal fighting, Paris was liberated in August 1944, and Allied forces pushed eastward, driving the Germans back towards their own borders. Section 7. The Holocaust, a stain on humanity. While the Allied powers fought for victory on the battlefields of Europe and the Pacific, a horrific genocide was unfolding under the cover of war. The Holocaust, the systematic state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its collaborators, stands as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. Driven by their twisted ideology of racial purity and fueled by anti-Semitism, the Nazis implemented a program of mass murder, targeting Jews as well as other groups deemed undesirable, including Roma, Gypsies, homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, and people with disabilities. Victims were rounded up, deported to concentration camps, and subjected to unimaginable horrors. At these camps, prisoners were subjected to forced labor, starvation, torture, and mass murder. The names of these camps, Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec, have become synonymous with unimaginable cruelty and suffering. The Holocaust was an unprecedented crime against humanity, a stain on the conscience of the world. Section 8. The Dawn of the Atomic Age. As the war entered its final months, a new and terrifying weapon emerged from the shadows: the atomic bomb. Developed by the United States under the top-secret Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb harnessed the power of nuclear fission, unleashing unimaginable destructive force. In August 1945, faced with the prospect of a costly invasion of mainland Japan and seeking to end the war swiftly, the United States made the fateful decision to use atomic bombs against Japan. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, instantly killing an estimated 80,000 people and injuring tens of thousands more. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, Japan, killing an estimated 40,000 people. The use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ushered in the atomic age, a new era defined by the chilling specter of nuclear annihilation. Section 9. Unconditional surrender. The end of a global nightmare. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, coupled with the Soviet Union's declaration of war against Japan on August 8, 1945, prompted Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, 1945. The formal surrender ceremony took place on September 2, 1945, aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay, officially ending World War II. The world had endured 6 long years of unimaginable violence and suffering. Millions lay dead, entire cities lay in ruins, and the scars of war ran deep. Yet, amidst the rubble and despair, there was also a sense of relief. Relief that the nightmare was finally over, and hope for a better future. Section 10. A world transformed, the legacy of World War II. World War II left an indelible mark on the world, reshaping the geopolitical landscape and leaving a legacy that continues to shape the present day. The war's impact was profound and far-reaching, affecting everything from global power dynamics to technological advancements. In the aftermath of the war, a new world order emerged, one dominated by the United States and the Soviet Union. These two superpowers, former allies against Nazi Germany, emerged from the conflict with vastly different ideologies and interests, setting the stage for the Cold War, a decades-long ideological and geopolitical struggle that would define much of the latter half of the 20th century. The horrors of World War II, particularly the Holocaust, led to the creation of the United Nations in 1945. Founded on the principle of collective security and dedicated to maintaining international peace and security, the United Nations represented a collective effort to prevent future atrocities and promote cooperation among nations. The war also spurred significant technological advancements, particularly in the fields of aviation, nuclear energy, and medicine. The development of jet aircraft, radar, antibiotics, and computers, while driven by the exigencies of war, had a profound impact on post-war society, transforming transportation, communication, healthcare, and countless other aspects of modern life. World War II was a watershed moment in human history, a global conflict that tested the limits of human endurance and reshaped the world. Its legacy continues to shape the present day, serving as a stark reminder of the devastating costs of war and the importance of international cooperation in pursuing a more peaceful and just world.